Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome back to the HorrorScope live show. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss, and I have my co-host with me, as always, Russell Howell. How's it going, man?
Going good, man. Glad we actually got to record this. Seemed like nature and life was against us recording this. So I'm actually glad we actually got it all lined up. We're ready to rock and roll. We can finally get Dawn to the Dead, talk about it. So looking forward to it.
Hell yeah. And of course, the other co-host is Luca, man. How's it going, man?
How's it going, dude? I'm pretty good. Ready to talk about a really fun, kind of stupid movie. But
Yep, this movie is indeed stupid, but we need something kind of fun after 2 weeks of kind of dreadful,
pretty depressing stuff.
Depressing movies. So this was my choice for the week, and I chose 2004's Dawn of the Dead, directed by Zack Sneider, written by James Gunn, which I did not realize that until I was watching the movie. His credit came up. So yeah, this movie came out in 2004. It's a remake of the original George A. Romero Dawn of the Dead movie. So yeah, let's open up with our pros, our favorite quotes, things like that. If you guys don't mind, I'll start with one of my favorite quotes in this movie.
Sure thing.
It was actually early on in the movie. I think it's a priest or something talking. He goes, "When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth."
The televangelist. Yeah. Played by Ken Foree, who is one of the main characters in 1978 Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, really? I did not know that. But I actually like this whole entire speech he gives, but that's the one line that kind of stood out to me.
I think it's a tagline for the original movie.
Is it?
I think it's a referential thing. It might have been the tagline for this film, but I have a feeling it was a tagline for the 1978 movie.
It makes sense.
So I think it's Zack Sneider being cheeky and referential while also doing what he does, which is like giving a sneaky little middle finger to the kind of Christian fundamentalism of the televangelist character in that. But like, I think it's a really good thematic line. It's cheeky, it's referential, and yeah, it's a fun line. I think.
So yeah, that's mine right there. Move on to Luca for his.
Yeah, so I think my favorite thing about the film in general is the way that it keeps pace. There are definitely some breaks, and we will talk about those breaks. But just from the opening, when she's at the hospital, you hear these kind of hints of things that might be going wrong. And you know going into this movie what kind of movie it is. You know it's Dawn of the Dead. Everyone knows what this is about. But that kind of dread that's established in the beginning and the kind of like underlaying of everything, and then particularly the scene after, right? When she goes home, she goes to bed, and there's the little girl that she met out on the porch like a few hours ago.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like, bam, right. Out of the gate, these are fast zombies. These are threatening zombies. You know, these are not going to shamble around. They're not going to wait for you to tie your shoelaces and trip over and get back up. And, you know, any of that kind of stuff. This is not George Romero. This is not, White Zombie. This is not slow shambling. This is like, they are going to fuck you up and they're going to get you, which I think is, the more we've explored zombie stuff with like this and 28 Days Later, the fast zombies have become a bit more of a thing. But I think it's really like a strong thing with the first time you see a zombie bolt for you, right? Like there's a really intense sense of threat to that there aren't really with the kind of the slow shambling dumb zombies. These guys seem to have, they're driven, right? Which I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah. But it also seems like they're more intelligent in this movie. If that makes any sense. Like, because in like normal zombie movies, you can like kind of outsmart them, like make a noise over there, and they're gonna walk over there. This one, they seem kind of like they're kind of following you no matter where you go.
I think the threat is more in numbers, right? Like they're just so overwhelming. There's so many of them. But yeah, there's a definite difference in threat there.
Yeah. All right, Russ, on to you. Any favorite quotes, favorite moments?
Quote wise, like I just think the beginning of the film, kind of what Luca said, it really sets the tone for this. This is a different Zack Snyder film than we're used to. Obviously, you know, we've seen what he could do in Watchmen, Sucker Punch, Man of Steel, all that stuff. But this is really Zack Snyder having a lot of fun. You can tell he had a lot of fun making this film, and it shows on the screen. To me, what I like about it, I do like the fast and intensity of the zombies because it makes it scarier because you're constantly on the edge of your seat because you're like, these guys aren't going to wait for you. They're going to come full force at you. And I think that's the unsettling part of this film. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, as we have already said, the sheer numbers of these, like when they're at the mall, they're at the shopping center or whatever, and you see outside, like when they're communicating with the guy across with the sniper rifle, you realize there is so many of these zombies out there, and it's literally like survival of the fittest pretty much. It's like, kill or be killed type thing. So I do appreciate that, and I do like how Zack Snyder, you can really tell that he's really having a lot of fun with this one. I watched the director's cut. I don't know if really they added anything different to it, really, because it's been a while since I've seen the theatrical compared to the director's cut, but it just had an intro to from the beginning of it with Zack Snyder talking about it. But you can tell like it's a passion project. It's something that he really wanted to do. He's passionate about, and it really shows on the screen. I like the fact that the zombies aren't just like slow. They're waiting for you like Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers speed. Yeah. These guys are coming full, lightning in a bottle, and I like that because it makes it everything that they do has to have purpose, planning against the, trying to stay alive from the zombies because they are a little bit smarter. They are a lot quicker. So I do appreciate that. And I like Snyder. I like Snyder's direction in this film.
It's his first movie. So this was like before he got like very over his head with things like Man of Steel and BVS and like, It's not a self-important movie in the way that a lot of Zack Snyder movies are. I think it's no surprise to anyone who's heard me talk about movies very much at all that I'm not a Zack Snyder fan. Sucker Punch is my least favorite movie ever made.
Sucker Punch, I agree with that. That's the bad. Especially with the talent that he had and what he could have done with it. I think it was like the execution, everything about it just fell flat.
For sure.
I think Watchmen super underrated. I say Watchmen or Man of Steel is my favorite Zack Snyder, and I know like it's super divisive. I know that's the big thing about Zack Snyder. He's so like hot and cold. Like a lot of people, you either love it or you hate it. There's no middle ground with Zack Snyder.
I think you're right though that there is in this movie like a great sense of respect for the original Romero Dawn of the Dead. Like having those things, like having Ken Faree in the movie and having Tom Savini have a cameo in the movie. All that kind of stuff. There's clearly a love and respect of the genre and a love and respect of the original film that's not trampled under Snyderisms. There are a few Snyder traits that kind of pop up in this that I'm going to talk about later that I don't know. But broadly speaking, I think it's much more of a fun movie. It's streamlined. It's it's kind of long. Like it's about an hour 50, 2 hours ish around that mark. But it doesn't feel long. It really doesn't.
No.
It's kind of long. Like it's shorter than the original Dawn of the Dead, but it's like longer than with horror movies. There's kind of an expectation that it's like this is gonna be like an hour and a half, maybe hour 25.
Yeah.
And
horror movies are kind of short, but they do a lot in them. And the reason why this movie feels so, not like it doesn't feel like it's 2 hours is because of the fast pacing that you brought up. There's always something going on that has your attention.
For sure. Also, I think broadly speaking, like, again, with every positive I'm going to say, I'm betraying my opinion on this movie a little bit. With every positive I'm going to say, for the most part, or there are some exceptions, but I do like the core character dynamics in this movie. Like core character dynamics, what I mean is Anna, Sarah Polley's character, Michael, Nicole, and Kath, right? So the policeman, the young girl whose dad dies, Michael, who's the guy who used to sell TVs, who's the like romantic lead, and Sarah Polley's character. I think that they're all actually pretty sympathetic. I think that they're they're all human and they're all pretty relatable, and you do care about most of these characters.
You do.
I think I know where you're going to go with this. I also, speaking of like interaction between the the leads, I love the friendship between Andy and Kenneth because
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Andy. Andy's great too.
even though they're like separated by like like buildings, and you have to kind of read what they're saying on like a board. I think it works because they like during that montage, which by the way, the music in that montage is horrible.
Yeah. We'll talk
There
about
was a moment. There was a moment in that montage where they're talking about which celebrity zombie to shoot.
Yeah, I like that one.
That was funny.
I think that's after the montage. The montage they're playing chess and they're talking about a new game. And I just think like that's kind of a perfect thing to make Ving Rhames do. Like just kind of sit there, be big, don't emote too much with your voice because like Ving Rhames is like not a great actor.
No.
But like, he fills that role really well. And yeah, I think that Andy's for a character that you only see through binoculars in tiny form holding up words, you do genuinely care when he dies. And it's mostly because you can actually see that Kenneth cares. Because they don't give him a dumb speech or anything. They just let it sit with the guy. In terms of emotional moments, I think there are some issues with the execution, but I do like the zombie baby thing. I do like the pregnant wife thing. I think that there are some serious issues with the execution, but I think that idea of like, what if someone that you love deeply was infected? How would you respond to that? How would you react to that? I don't think that it's executed great, but I think that it's a good idea that they're playing with there.
But I think it's because of the lack. See, and this is the other thing that I kind of snowballed what you're saying. I think Snyder doesn't pay a whole lot of attention, doesn't give you a whole lot like romantic chemistry with Mekhi Phifer and their girlfriend or whatever. So you really don't buy that relationship. Do you know what I mean? So to me, it's like when it happens, it's like, their relationship, they don't have a whole lot of screen time together on the screen. So you really don't, you know what I mean? You're really not buying it, or you don't, you're not invested like when he has to make decisions here, or what he has to really come in, wrestle with later on down the road that he obviously doesn't do. But you know what I mean? He's still wrestling around with, oh crap, somebody I love, she's going to be turning. So what's going to, what she is turning or she's turned. What do I do? You know what I mean?
I agree with it. I think that it suffers mostly from the fact that the Luda character, I don't know the name of the actress, I'm afraid. She is actually Eastern European. But she's really kind of a stereotype. Her English is like embarrassingly bad, and she's doing things like missing out propositions, which is like not an aspect of the Russian language. So why would she be doing that? I want the baby. That's I'm not saying that it's racist or xenophobic or anything like that. That would be, I think, a bit of an exaggeration, but it does simplify the character, and there are plenty of other characters in this movie, which again I will talk about, that are simplified down to being stereotypes, and it makes them significantly worse characters.
Speaking of,
sorry, go ahead. Well, I was going to say, in contrast to a moment that I think is a great idea, and that is should be emotionally quite heavy, but is kind of hampered by poor execution, a moment that I think is actually really, really good and does it really well is with Nicole's dad. When he's bitten, and when Michael and Anna have to debate over killing this guy. Nicole has a genuine, I think the actress named Lindy Booth, has a genuine, that's a really sweet scene between those two before he's gone.
I completely agree, because it's one of those things where it's like he's not turning right away, and it's like every moment you have with him in that situation is precious, because you're not going to get a whole lot, obviously once he turns. And then it also puts the characters at a crossroads, because they're like, well, do we really kill this? Are we going to really do this in front of the girl, right in front of her, shoot her dad and stuff like that? So they're wrestling with that too, morality wise too. And they're putting themselves in that situation too. Well, what if my parent got infected or whatever like that? How do you make that call? And it's really tough. And kind of what you said, Luca, it is a little bit of a moment where you're like, well, you put yourself in those characters' shoes. You're like, wow, those are huge decisions to make. Just to go back real quick about Ving Rhames' character, I think because the two characters get along, the rooftop guy and Ving Rhames get along because they're both the alpha male type characters. You know what I mean? They're like gun toting, like, you know, they have those characters are two guys that you could see literally at the bar drinking beer, doing shots together. That's just the type, and that's the camaraderie that they have. I don't know. I'm assuming that. Well, I know that Ving Rhames' character was in the Marines because he has a USMC thing. It's like completely like it looks awful. It looks like somebody took a Sharpie marker and wrote USMC on it. But you could tell that they're both military guys, and then they kind of share that common bond. But I do love that scene where they're doing the lookalike characters like Burt Reynolds and a couple other funny things. Which I think super we need, because this movie's so, you know, intense that they need to have a little bit of you know, comedic relief in it. But I do agree with Luca. The Ving Rhames just enough to work with. He's very, you know, white sheet of paper when it comes to acting. He doesn't have a lot of emotions and stuff like that. He is basically he's typecast a lot because of, you know, he's the muscles, he's the brute. And that's what he usually gets casted in. You know, that obviously Pulp Fiction was his calling. That was a perfect choice of cast for him. And obviously everything else you see him being in, like whether it be like striptease or whatever, he plays like a bouncer or a security guard. He plays the same type of character. So it makes sense that they went ahead and, you know, gave him this type of macho alpha male role. Yeah.
Speaking of, how do you say his name? Is it Vic Rhymes?
Ving Rhames.
Right.
Ving Rhames.
He actually has one of my favorite quotes that I have on here, where I think it's him and CJ talking, and he's like, well, that's not my problem. He goes, if I put my foot up your ass, would that be your problem?
Sure.
I like that.
We're gonna get along to other aspects of what I'm about to say is a good thing. But this film requires you to put 1978 out of your mind and put
I've never seen it, so that
out of your mind and put the George Romero movies out of your mind and accept that you're going to see an action movie, right?
Yeah.
This movie is a horror movie, but it's an action movie.
It's an action horror.
They're setting up buses with armor and shovels and putting chainsaws out the side and, you know, throwing propane tanks, right? This is very clearly an action-focused movie. And as such, it has a lot of action stereotypes that are sometimes done quite well. I think Kenneth is a good heavy. I think Ving Rhames' character is a good heavy. I think that, you know, Michael Kelly's character is a good, like, kind of defector. He reminds me a little bit of Captain Rhodes in Day of the Dead. If that comparison makes sense. Like, he's that kind of got a little bit nuts, but clearly was a little bit nuts before it, and is taking this opportunity to have his power trip, right? Yeah. He's like, well, I got the gun. I'm the leader of the security team. I've got my power trip. I'm going to lock you up and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. What else do I like? I like the cinematography in the chase scenes. I like the fast editing in the scenes where it's warranted.
Yeah.
I like that the action is pretty good. I think that the movie could do with some more gore.
Yeah.
I think it could do with some juicier zombie mutilation, considering how heavy it's going on the action side. But I think that the action is generally pretty good. I think that the chase scene, the escape scene at the end is really strong. As an action scene, again, I think that it's high octane. I don't like it conceptually, but I think that the romance between Anna and Michael is like okay. It's fine. You know, they have some degree of chemistry.
And I like the opening cinematography shot too, like the first person, the way Snyder puts you in first person, like literally you're like driving the car with her as all this like literally this chaotic shit's going down in front of your eyes. Like it's like a nice calm at the beginning, and then all of a sudden like it goes from 0 to 180, and it's like, oh my God, all this stuff is happening in this nice little like, you know, rural town. All of a sudden this like little development, you know, project or development area that they live in or whatever, real nice area, is going completely head over heels crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's really fun to see that. I do like the cinematography shots. The cuts are sometimes quick, but still, I think that again, Snyder is going, you know, he's pushing the gas down all the way. You know what I mean? And I like that, as opposed to when he starts doing more where he starts falling into the comics. You know what I mean? 300 aside, 300 is good. But outside of that, like when I'm saying he gets lost in the back end of like Sucker Punch, Watchmen, you know, then you lose him as a director. He becomes like one tone director because he hasn't done anything else. This really is so out of Zack Snyder, you know, realm because it's a horror thriller and it's mixed with a little bit of a comedy. You know what I mean? This is completely not typical Zack Snyder. So it's nice to see that he did have this. And again, I say it. I really think it was because it was a passion project. So
yeah.
Another thing that I like is I kind of like the ending. Not so much the ending on the marina. But the actual ending. The camcorder stuff. When they get to the island,
the zombies on the island.
Yeah, they're on the island. I like that. I think that the moment with Michael killing himself is pretty trite and, you know, like
drawn out.
But I do like the camcorder like found footage ending just because it reminds me of things like Lucio Fulci's zombie movies. When, you know, the last shot of that is all of is basically a reverse of that. Is all of the zombies making their way from the island to the city. You know, I like how there's this idea of like this is inescapable. I think it would feel pretty trite to have the zombie movie have a really happy ending because, like, you know, we know what happens. We know what happens with a pandemic. We're living in it. It doesn't take much for it to get everything.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, and I do appreciate that point because it's like the sheer number and volume, like we've said before with the zombies. There's just so many of them, and at the time, down at the back end of the film, like when the movie's almost over, how many do they have? Like 3-4 people out of their group left.
Yeah,
it's that.
Kenneth, Nicole, Anna. His name is Bart or Terry. It's one of the other security guys, the young guy.
Yes,
and the dog. I think it's those 5.
Yes,
so you have 4 or 5, and like you have literally a ton. So obviously, it's not going to end with them. You know, the good guys winning and stuff like that. It's a little bit more of a bleak ending, but it makes sense because kind of how, you know, what Luca said. You know, we're in a time here with a pandemic. You know what I mean? And you know, it's not just going to wave a magic wand. We defeat it. Yay, it's done. You know what I mean? It takes time. Yeah. So to me, I don't think that. You know, I think Zack Snyder did a good job in not, you know, rushing a happy ending. You know what I mean? I think it's out there. It's like, well, the fight continues pretty much at the end of the film. You know what I mean? So I do like that.
I also like the zombie makeup. Not just the actual zombies when they're zombies. That's pretty basic. I like how subtle not subtle, but I like the transitionary makeup, right? I like how they get paler. I like how you see both Luda and Nicole's dad get visibly sicker, get visibly closer. I like those transitionary stages. And I think the zombie makeup that they end up with is, you know, it's good. It's serviceable. But I like how you see that transition as they're dying.
Yeah.
So
I like the idea that they can turn while they're alive, too.
Yeah. So I actually have 2 more favorite quotes. I'm gonna go and like speed round out of here. It's during the Thanksgiving dinner scene or whatever.
Sure.
Not Thanksgiving, but during the dinner scene where the guy's like, my worst job was being a husband, my best job was being a dad.
It's quite a nice scene.
And then like everyone just like goes quiet on that, like no one says a thing anymore after that.
Sure. I think that my favorite quote in the movie is actually a speech. It's when it's not a speech; it's a response to a speech. It's when they're all talking about getting on the boat, and I just think it's funny when CJ is because CJ's such a jackass, and I like CJ's character in this movie. I want to say that, like,
I do too.
There are 2 cocky asshole characters in this movie, and I like one of them, and it's CJ. But I like when they're talking about going to the marina. And CJ has this big thing of like, let me get this straight. You want to drive through those zombies, and you want to like put some aluminium on some trucks and like drive through a whole horde of the undead just to get to a boat that you don't even for an island that you don't even know if it's inhabited. And they're like, yeah. And he's like, okay, yeah,
okay, I mean,
sure, whatever.
And then I have one more. It says, I think it was he says he's like a pianist or plays the organ for the church.
Yeah. That's
I don't believe in God. I don't see how someone could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that I want to talk more about Zack's philosophy in this movie. I guess James and Zach's philosophy in this movie later, but I think that it's a nice line, and I think that the Glenn character is kind of badly underexplored.
Yeah.
But that's a nice line that they give him.
And then I just want to bring up another pro for me is the music by Tyler Bates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The score's good.
Yeah, the score is really good, and the music that he chooses, besides one of them, which we'll talk about in a minute, I think are really good. Starting off with that Johnny Cash song during the news scenes.
Is that the man who come around or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a great song too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And then the score in the middle, and then you end with Down with the Sickness, like the original version at the end during the credit.
I'm so allergic to Down with the Sickness. I hate that song.
Oh, see, Disturbed's one of my favorite bands.
Really?
I loved
that song.
Well, see, I grew like literally I'm trying to think in their big heyday when they came out in 2000. I mean, I was like 16, 17, and I was totally metal, like that new age metal, like with Linkin Park and Papa Roach and all those guys. But to me, I always appreciated them lyrically because I thought with their albums, and I mean, if you look it up, and their albums always got better lyrically. And I thought that Dave Remain, the lead singer, I always thought was like kind of a genius in that aspect. Down to Sickness is overplayed. I get it. Because you figure they also use Stupefy for Swim Fan. Stupefy was for Swim Fan. If you saw that one with Erica Christensen, I don't know if did you guys see that one? I'm sure you guys had. Luke, no? Okay. Anyway, they used that one in the trailer. But their whole entire the mellow use of Down with the Sickness was completely stupid. I don't think it was. You know what I mean? I think you could have just used the actual song and made it into like an intense action scene. I think it would have been fine.
Oh no, I have seen this film. This is with Jesse Bradford. Yeah.
They use it. If you watch the trailer, Stupefy is. I mean, they were everywhere in that.
That's got a lot of that stuff in it, though. That's got like stuff by Saliva and like Seven Dust, right?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm just saying in general, a lot of their stuff like at the beginning were like a lot commercialized and stuff like that. So I mean, this is 4 years post Sickness CD, but still, I think
when it comes to like new metal soundtracks for movies, I don't think you can beat the Mortal Kombat soundtrack. Like,
that was
Okay, so this is going to be kind of new, but I didn't know where to put it, pro or con. So I have like a middle section.
Sure.
And here's one thing. It's the CJ character.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about CJ. CJ's an interesting guy to talk about. I'm happy to do that.
I have it written here, like, CJ loved his character in the second and third act of the film, hated him in the first act, good change, but not explored at all.
No, so here's the thing. Here's the thing that I feel about CJ is that CJ starts off as a really fun asshole character.
Is he fun though?
Yeah, he's a great love to hate character. He's an absolute jackass. He's not as bad as Bart, who is his like co-guy. The dude who calls Terry a faggot, which like fucking hell, aged well.
It's not.
But like, I like CJ at the beginning, and I like his transition, broadly speaking. But I hate the moment where he's holding the dynamite and he lights it, and he's like fucking figures, because that's such a wink to the audience moment. Where Zack Sneider is not happy to just like show us a character arc. He has to be like, ha ha ha, this character said that he would let everyone die before him at the beginning, and now he's sacrificing himself for everyone. Isn't that such a cool character arc? Isn't that really the case? It's so bad. It's such a tiny line, but it drives me fucking mad.
So I do think that Zack does that, as you said, like the motif or whatever, where it's like he says something in the beginning, does it at the end, really well with the other asshole character. When he's like, "Hey, sweetie, you have my blessing to shoot me in the head if I ever turn to these fuckers," and then at the end of the movie, he was
kind of like
right in the head.
That one I kind of like because it's a comic character, and Steve doesn't have a transition, right? Starts with the jackass, ends the jackass.
He ends with a jackass.
And like he gets what he deserves, but
so that was my middle section because, as I said, I loved the CJ character in the second and third acts.
Yeah,
he was still being that smarmy asshole, but you could tell he still wanted to help the crew.
Sure.
Yeah. And then I couldn't stand him at the beginning because he was that, overly jock, full of power, like, I kind of hated him in the beginning.
You're supposed to, though.
Yeah, I guess, but the transition wasn't explored enough, in my
I
opinion.
think the transition is really good. I'll agree with that.
And then like even like in general, just like cast wise, like that Sarah Pauli, like she kind of fell off the face of the earth. She did like what TV stuff after. It was like, you know, she I thought she did a good enough job.
Yeah.
Snyder didn't ask her to do too much, and I think that she did enough. And I thought she was good on screen. It was kind of amazing that, you know, she really didn't, like, her career didn't, like, she wasn't in more things that are recognizable, I guess I should say. Because, like, if you look at her IMDb, a lot of that stuff's television, and I don't even know if she's still working, you know? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I think that, like, you know, had she maybe, because she was, like, what, 25 when Dawn of the Dead came out? Like, 26?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, had she maybe been in a fewer, like, she was in Sweet Hereafter, she was only in tiny things. Before
which is crazy that
she's good. I think that like with a little bit more like bigger roles, you could kind of see her as like a Nev Campbell type, right? Like
that's what I was
definitely.
actress, but like one of the higher echelon actresses who do give good performances.
And that's what I was thinking, because of the fact that, like, kind of how you said with like the whole Nev Campbell thing, she had that like aesthetic that you could see that, and it's just a shame that, like, I mean, the movie did okay money-wise. I think it grossed like what, 22, I think, opening weekend, which is decent.
It made over $100 million. I know that.
Yeah. So, and I think it had a nice opening weekend, which is nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, kind of what you said. It's kind of a shame that her career didn't pick up after that. Like, you thought maybe, you know, she'd be more like, you know, she'd be like the face of like some fun horror films down the road, and she just really kind of fizzled out.
She's quite a good scream queen, and it's a shame.
Yeah. Speaking of her, and I love, as you guys brought up, the chemistry between her and Jack Weber, the guy who plays Michael in the movie.
Yeah.
Jake Weber, right?
No, it's Jack.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know why it says Jack on here, but yeah, it's Jake.
I like their friendship chemistry more than I like their romantic chemistry, I think.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
I love the fact that they didn't kind of force the romantic.
Oh, I thought it was very forced.
I mean, like, right off the bat.
Sure. It takes a while.
It took its time that you can kind of see them getting together at the end. You know, it took its time, and it wasn't like rushing into it.
Sure. And I think that, like, that's you know, had these two leads had like weaker performances, I probably would have been like way madder.
Yeah.
Twist. But they're both pretty likable, and they're both pretty charming.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't hate it too much. I do not like it though.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary. And speaking of worse actors having romantic stuff that I hate, the relationship between the daughter and the security guy.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like,
she was an idiot. She was an idiot though.
Yes. That's true.
Which look, I love dogs. Like, I love dogs. I would not go out in a truck by myself in the middle of the road with all these zombies to get a dog that they weren't even going after.
Horror movies rely on characters making stupid decisions, and usually I can just kind of suspend my disbelief.
Well, yeah, it's you have to. It's a shame you have to do it more often than not. You know, like it's an adage that's used time and time again, and I don't think it'll ever stop with horror films.
No.
Go left. Oh, we're gonna go right. Great, thanks. Way to go. You know, like,
hang up the phone.
Yeah.
Run in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go on to some of our cons, because I know we have so many.
I have so many.
I'll start with one that I think got annoying after a while. Over rely on slow motion effects.
Oh my god! It's even when it starts. First movie.
And I was like,
the one thing
after a while it's good, but then like it's good at first, and then after a while you're just like, okay, like, you don't gotta do this for every headshot. Come on.
The one that gets me is Norma's cigarette when she's just about to go in, and see Andre and Luda and
The slow-mo effect on the
put
cigarette.
the cigarette out. When you do that, when Zack Snyder is doing that, what he's saying is something bad is about to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't need to know that.
Yeah.
Maybe it might have surprised me
Yeah.
if you had made a cigarette stubbing out be in slow motion, like, ooh, it's going to be the last thing she ever does. Like, come the fuck on. The editing of this movie in the scenes that aren't action movies drives me nuts because everything is filmed like an action scene.
Yeah.
Everything is edited like an action scene. Everything has that really quick cutting, face to face to face. Every conversation makes it seem like it's a confrontation, even when it's not supposed to be. Because Zack Snyder doesn't know how to storyboard for editing things that aren't action sequences. It drives me mad. And nothing
out, Luca.
Well, there's a reason why obviously Zack Snyder's stuck with like action packed. That's all he really can do. You know what I mean? Like that's all he really can do is kind of like a one-trick pony when it comes to that.
Yeah.
My biggest issue with this movie is there are so many characters. There are so many characters, and like
you can't juggle to develop all of them either.
Norma, Glenn, Andre, Luda, Steve. That's 5 characters I've named off the top of my head. Who I'm like, why are you in the movie? There's another guy who's a trucker guy. I don't know who he is. Yeah. I don't know what he's supposed to do. He's the guy that CJ shoots when he breaks his leg coming back from Andy's.
Yeah.
Dragging him on the floor. When he was like, shoot me, I'm like, who the fuck are you?
And why do I care at this point? See, I think if they would have stuck with the core members that were in the mall to begin with, I don't
think you even need Andre. I think basically the guys who get away, plus CJ, Andy, I think has a right to be in the movie.
Yeah.
You have to have more meat for the grinder, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have all of these character deaths, but like the one that gets me the most is Glenn, because
who is that character now?
Glenn is the gay guy who was the organist for the church.
Yeah.
And all of the moments that he has are being like, I believe in God, saying he's gay, and having like a comic relief scene about how he's gay. Yeah. Where he's talking to CJ in the prison, and CJ's like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. What? That was
a character moment for you to talk about your sexuality from when you were a kid. Like, come on. And then the other moment in the down with sickness montage in the middle of the movie.
We'll get to that. Don't worry.
He's like trying on high heels. And it's like, oh, okay, right. You're one gay character in this movie as a secret transvestite who has like a awkward coming out scene to a dude who's not interested. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm very, very queer, so I have a personal stake in this.
Yeah.
We don't have many gay characters in horror movies, so like when we do, it sucks to see them like this. Just so flat and like completely pointless and forced.
Yeah. That was the one scene that like felt super awkward, especially watching it today.
Sure.
The whole thing with him talking about it, I'm just like, really? Really? Why halfway through this movie are we gonna just shoehorn this one scene in there?
Yeah. It's super out of place. Like it doesn't. I think it's just like, I don't know if it was like more Snyder was going to go for that. Ooh, let me shock you with this or something like that. It's like, I don't know. It's one of those scenes where it's completely.
I mean, Snyder, as a human being, and in terms of his like public appearance, he's always been very supportive of LGBT rights. He's spoken out about it. Right. So is James Gunn. But this is clearly like, okay, so you want to show people that CJ is an asshole.
Yeah.
First of all, you've already done that.
Yeah.
He's threatened to shoot people. He's held people hostage. He's imprisoned people. He's tried to get them to go away. He's already been an asshole. Secondly, why do you need to make an awkward coming out old gay guy scene for you to do that? Like, why is that your comedic thing? I don't have like a huge issue with it. Like, it's not. I don't think it's the worst scene in the movie. I think it's the weirdest scene in the movie, and I think it's the most outrageous scene in the movie. But it's just like, why was this in the movie? You needed to pad the runtime. Apparently, Zack Sneider like storyboarded this movie like really extensively. Like he had storyboards for like the whole thing. I'm just like, did you storyboard this, Zach? Did anyone look at this and ask me why it was in the movie? And you convinced them that?
Yeah. What doesn't fit here, guys?
All of this. All right, Russ, on to you for some of your negatives.
Pretty much the same thing. I was thinking, just wrestling around with the juggling of the characters. You can't develop that many characters in that short a period of time, and make us, the audience, care about them, because you're just going to underwrite characters. And kind of what Luca was saying, you can throw 5-6 characters to the wayside that don't add anything to the plot, don't further it. You know what I mean? Nothing happens with or without their, them in general being in the film. Yeah, I can see some of the slow-mo stuff. I think the slow-motion stuff would have been cool had this movie been specifically released in maybe 3D. You could have done some cool shots with like a bullet going through the head or something like that. Kind of cool. But outside of that, though, the slow-motion obviously has been known. You'll see it like obviously Man of Steel and all the other films like Zack Sneider does. He heavily likes the slow-motion stuff. I mean, I get it. Some of that stuff you really don't need in that type of film. Kind of what Luca was saying with the editing, it does get a little bit sloppy. Everything is just like boom, 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 boom. He's just like, 180 beats a minute, pretty much. You know what I mean? There's no slow down. It's like almost like it tries to make it like a Fast and the Furious type film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get it, but you have to have balance between that. You have to have a healthy balance between that. When you have the action, then drop it down a little bit. You can have a little bit of relaxation before another intense scene or another, zombie, crazy scene and stuff like that. So the balance of that one, I think Snyder falls a little bit. But outside of that, though, it's a fun film. Is it Snyder's best? No, but it's a fun film, and
it's Snyder's best.
But it's like, to me, it's like it's a fun popcorn flick. It's a fun Saturday afternoon popcorn flick. You know what I mean? It's something that I would watch maybe during Halloween season just for fun. I mean, it's a fun film, and that's kind of what you go into this type of film expecting. You're not supposed to be wowed with like elaborate plots. You know what I mean? And the other girl that was in it, the redheaded girl, she was in Cry Wolf. I noticed her. She played the character Dodger in Cry Wolf. I don't know if you Lucas saw it. Hunter, you're looking at me like deer in headlights. You probably did not see Cry Wolf, I assume. Okay.
She's in what's that show called? Librarians. She's in Librarians.
Okay. Yeah, she was. I mean, and she was good in Cry Wolf, which was around the same period, like 05-ish. But yeah, outside of that, though, it's a fun film. Kind of just, I think we touched on all the cons to it. I mean,
actually, I have a few.
Yeah.
Before we get to the major negative that all three of us have, I hate the zombie baby scene.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I hate it because kind of like that coming out scene, it felt like this scene was going too far for shock value. Like, oh, look, he's a zombie baby, and now we're going to cut off screen while someone shoots it. I'm just like, it would have been better if you would have had the lady shoot the pregnant lady. What's her name now?
Luda.
Yeah, Luda. And then, have the scene with Andre, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Like, cut it off right there. It felt like it was just going for shock value to me. In the exact same scene, what is up with quick people changes in this movie? Andre goes from this kind of cool guy, not a lot of development, to straight out wanting to murder somebody. I get why, but the cutoff is so abrupt.
So this, I think, has a lot to do with that montage, which I'm going to talk about now, because there are so many problems in that Down with the Sickness montage, in that fucking stupid, what is it, Richard Cheese and the Lounge Against the Machine. I think that's the name of that band. They do a bunch of swing covers of songs. That's the name of that swing band that did the cover of that song.
I don't know, but I hate the song.
There are so many issues with it. One, it's a really poor and terrible attempt at comic relief, and the sex stuff with Steve and his girlfriend, who, again, who the fuck? When I was mentioning characters that I was like, who the fuck is she? I was like, who the hell is that?
Who the fuck are you?
Blonde woman who is like, what? She's bitchy, but I don't know her name. And did she come here with Steve? Are they just like attractive people? And
we have many questions.
But yeah, like all of that stuff, and it breaks pace. First of all, it massively breaks pace, and also it is not clear but I think that it's meant to show quite a significant passage of time.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like a couple weeks at least. I think it's supposed to be the idea that they're incorporating into life in this place, which is why Andre has such a quick change.
Okay.
I think that
makes sense.
I think, again, this is not clear to me,
Yeah.
but the only way it makes sense out of this idea of like, oh, okay, Nicole and Terry have fallen in love. Anna and Kenneth are now like best buddies. Not Anna and Kenneth. Anna and Michael and Andy and Kenneth are like best buddies, and Andre's gone crazy. I think the idea is that they're like, okay, it's been like weeks or like a week or something like that.
See,
but it's totally not clear.
That would make sense though.
I like moments in this montage. There are some that like don't make any sense. Like, who the fuck was this woman?
Yeah.
But I don't mind if you want to show a montage of people incorporating real life into the situation. Hell, that's what we're having to do in real life right now. Adjust to a certain situation. But have these scenes make sense when you show them in a montage. Don't just show weird ass, like, one guy's fucking this lady. You know, we have the officer who's lifting weights. You have this. None of these make sense.
Yeah. I think that it makes most of it makes sense. Like, you're trapped in a gym in a mall, and there's a zombie outbreak, and you're barricaded out. And like, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna try and live your life, whether that's go to the gym or, you know, kind of take advantage of the fact that you could just have access to these stores and these TVs and like stargaze. The stargazing one's a bit weird. I'm like, there's zombies like all the way around there, and you're fucking stargazing. But so this is my feeling about this movie generally, broadly speaking, and it's summed up in my issues with the montage. I think this movie would have been better if it was a comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this movie would have been better if they just said, fuck it, let's just go straight and make it a comedy movie.
Kind of like Shaun of the Dead in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, just make it a splatter comedy about these guys. You know, obviously they can't do that because it's Dawn of the Dead. But, you know, one of my favorite Hitchcock movies of all time is a movie called The 39 Steps, and it's a very serious spy thriller movie. It was made into a play, and the play is like a farce comedy. So it definitely can be done. You can take this switch here, and the play is incredibly well received. Yeah. So, like, you know, I think the funny moments are, in a really stupid way, kind of funny. So, and the scary moments aren't scary. This movie is not scary.
No,
not at all.
And the action is like fine. So maybe if this was
an action comedy,
an actual action comedy with zombies,
I
thought it would have been way better. And you wouldn't have, because like comedies don't need like
look at Zombieland,
characters, or like big emotional moments, or like wrestling with the morality of killing a zombie child. Just make it a fun movie about. And
see, that whole baby scene, I think, could have been taken out.
Well, you knew they were going to do something because they introduced Luda as pregnant. You know what I mean? So obviously, you know, knowing this is a zombie movie, okay, well, wait a minute. Something's going to happen to Luda.
Yeah, they're either going to have to either the baby's going to be born and they're going to have to get out because they've got a baby now. Yeah. Or I think that, personally, I think that the actual shooting of the zombie baby, it's not that offensive to me.
No, it's not offensive as, like, you know, this, but I'm thinking, like, it went on for so long just so, like, Zach could show you, oh, look, zombie baby.
Yeah, it's like, I'm killing a baby. I don't like zombie baby. I think that's kind of an interesting thing. But I think that every time this movie tries to be serious, it fails horrendously.
Yeah.
I don't think it really ever succeeds in being a really serious, dark movie.
Yeah.
But if you add, like, hell, you can make it a dark comedy, and it would probably be better.
Yeah.
But those two scenes just, like, the quick change in Andre, to me, you know, he wasn't a developed character anyway. He literally is like, my only character arc is, hey, I have a pregnant wife. That's it.
I kind of like that scene with him and Kevin, with him and Kenneth and Michael, where
the TV.
Like, you gonna trust a guy who sells TVs? And Kenneth's like, well, I'm not gonna trust a guy who steals them. I don't really like the scene in the bathroom because again, whenever this movie tries to be serious and deep and talk about characters and their motivations, it kind of fails. But I do like that short moment where, there's kind of an implicit realization right there of Andre being like, oh God, I can't really, I still have my past, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't like that.
Yeah, there are so many, like, I think there's 2 or 3 characters that have, like, tonal character shifts. CJ going from this kind of asshole into kind of this, prick friend type character, and you're just like, okay, I like that.
He's stop being a smart ass, and I like that.
Yeah, but I'm just like, where did that come in? Like, at what point did he make that change? And, Andre with, I get it, you love her and she shot her, but you kind of know why.
Yeah, but he's gone off the rocker at this point. Like, I'm not going to argue that it's not a really abrupt change. Again, I think it is an abrupt change. I think that it's more abrupt than CJ's change.
Yeah.
But like, there's other moments of like kind of emotional character moments, which I'm like, like with Kenneth, like he has a brother and he wants to see the brother, and he just says it. He just says it a lot. He's just like, I'm gonna go see my brother. I'm gonna go see my brother. He never sees his brother.
Yeah.
He never even goes to see his brother. He just kind of says it, and it's like, you're Ving Rhames. You're not acting this.
Yeah.
All right. So we have any more cons?
I mean, I think we touched on everything.
Steve's a jackass. I don't.
Besides the horrible Down with the Sickness cover. Oh my god.
No, I don't think I have anything else.
We've
the final moment again, where they're sailing off into the sunset, like before the thing, is a bit trite, a bit ham-fisted.
Yeah.
But no.
All right, so let's go into our ratings, which, as you guys know, each episode we kind of tie in our rating system to what our movie is. And because this is Dawn of the Dead, and because fuck yeah, I love flaming zombies, that's our rating out of 5 flaming zombies. So I'll start with this one. After debating it for a while, I'm gonna give it 3.5 out of 5 flaming zombies. I think it's middle of the road, but it does enough with character development, especially with the main leads, to make you care about them. And it's just a fun action movie. Russ?
I'm gonna go 3 flaming zombies. To me, it's a fun film. And that's what you go in expecting. You're not expected to be like, this movie's going to win an Academy Award or anything like that. It's a fun film. It's a fun popcorn film, like I said before. And that's really what Snyder delivers. I mean, it's you see a lot of the tropes that end up making Zack Snyder down the road. But overall, it's a fun film. And yeah, there are quite a bit of cons to weigh in on this film, but overall, it's a fun film nonetheless. So yeah, I'm gonna go 3 flaming zombies.
All right, and Luca.
I guess if my rating is for quality, I'll say 2.5. But if my rating is for enjoyment, I'll say 3.5. So depending on which way you want to fall with that. So I guess even that to a nice round 3.
Yeah,
boy.
There are a lot of problems with this movie.
Yeah.
I've made all of those clear. And yet, despite all of the issues with it, despite all of the issues with character and editing and stuff like that, I have a great time watching it. Mm-hmm. I like watching it a lot. I think it's funny, and I think it's fun, and I think it's high octane. And like, am I gonna, after seeing this movie, when I first saw this movie, did I like show it to everyone? Like, you have to see this movie. Oh my God, you got to see this movie. No. But am I gonna watch it on a Halloween night or like on the 30th or 29th of October with some friends and get like
with beer?
Oh my God, yes. Yes. I'm gonna do that because it's a fun time. And
absolutely.
There's a joy to it, and there is a love to it. I think that it's misguided in points, and I think that there are some really bad decisions made.
Yeah.
And I think that it's got a shitload of fat on it.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Really one movie doesn't, though. You know what I mean? Especially when movies. Well, yeah, outside of the Wicker Man, But what I'm saying in general, a lot of these horror films, and we will dissect a lot of these horror films where they could be 15, 20 minutes shorter. I mean, these are movies. I mean, and just in general, the horror genre in itself is perfect runtime. Kind of what Luca said earlier: $1.25, hour 30, hour 35. It's a perfect time for a horror film. You can get everything and convey everything in that short amount of time. And everybody walks away happy. So, yeah.
Yep. All right, guys. So you know what time it is. It's your favorite segment. It's my favorite segment. It is the Horror Corner. Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh.
And next week's is Russ's picks. So Russ, why don't you tell everyone what movie you picked?
Boy, we were doing a lot of claustrophobic, like trapped type films. You know what I mean? We got Misery, you have The Shining, you have Wicker Man. It's all this captivity and
You have Dawn of the Dead in the mall.
Yeah, and even Dawn of the Dead. So we're going to continue with The Descent, the 2005 film. Really good, fun film. That Hunter spelled wrong. It's Descent. But anyway, nonetheless, it's all good. He's like, thanks, asshole. No, but anyway, what I'm saying is this is a really fun film. And I remember when it came out in 2005, super underrated. And I feel like it really didn't get a whole lot of attention till later on. Like it lackluster at the theater. The box office didn't open really high to big numbers, but it's a fun film, and I'm looking forward to talking about it because I really, really enjoy this film, so it'll be fun.
This is a movie that this is a movie I've never seen, so
yeah,
this should be fun.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Review a real piece of shit, and it's gonna be a sad day. But
one
day we're gonna review a real piece of shit, but it's gonna be very fun.
And we're gonna have a blast talking about it.
Oh, dude. So before we go, I think we should announce what we're gonna do in the month of May, since that's coming up. Luca, you want to explain?
Yeah. So, Hunter was talking about do a few movies by a little studio by the name of A24, and I personally am a huge A24 connoisseur. So, what we're going to be doing for the month of May is we're going to be doing May 24. 4 HorrorScope podcasts, 4 A24 movies, one choice for each of us, and then one choice which is going to be decided by us as a group. I guess we're not going to be talking about shitty movies necessarily, but we might be talking about depressing, claustrophobic, and maybe long movies.
Yeah, actually, I know that you already have your pick for A24 month. You want to go ahead and share yours?
Yeah. So one of my favorite horror movies of all time, one of my favorite horror movies of the decade. I want to talk about Robert Eggers' 2015 masterpiece, The Witch. Because
we already talked about it, I think, but we can talk about it again.
Yeah.
Have you guys already talked about The Witch?
Yeah, we can talk about it again, though, man.
No. Let's do Lighthouse. We'll do Lighthouse.
Lighthouse?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love both of those Robert Eggers ones.
All right.
The Lighthouse is a wonderful movie.
Okay.
All right. Nice.
I'm really delighted to talk about.
All right. I have mine made up. I'm gonna go with a movie that I haven't seen by A24, and I don't know if this counts as a horror movie, but I'm gonna go The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh yes!
I literally just watched that. I just watched it again. It was on Netflix.
So I'm gonna go with that one.
Speaking of which, I watched Dogtooth the other day. Oh my god! Oh my! It's a Luca Fallon film, man. I'm
very much.
Russ?
Oh my god, this movie is so twisted. It was on Tubi. It was free. What's that? For A24 month. Oh my god, you put me on a spot here already. I didn't think you guys were gonna. You know what? Since we've been talking about it anyway, what the hell? I'll go. You know what? Yeah, let's do Midsommar. I think that's fun. I'm a big Midsommar fan. I really enjoy it. And, you know, Luca hinted to drawn out longer A24 film, so why not? That movie's like 2.5 hours, so sure. But yeah, I'll do Midsommar, and then we'll make a surprise for the fourth one that we'll all come together on, and it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be really fun.
Yep, A24 month is going to be so much fun. So, Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Lighthouse, and Midsommar, with one more special surprise for you guys as all three of us come up with the fourth one. All right, guys, let's get into our closing plugs. Russ, where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me Notorious by Chance on Facebook. My buddy Chance Ellison and I do a podcast that we're going to be reviewing The Social Network on Friday. Ooh. That's the one that won the special 10th anniversary episode that we're going to do. So, yeah, find us there. What's that? You guys can also find us on YouTube, Notorious by Chance. We're going to start putting out some more content. Obviously, with no new releases coming out, we can't really talk about that. So we're going to try to do something on YouTube to try to stay semi-relevant on YouTube. But anyway, that's really about it. You can find me in the fan leagues competing in movie trivia and talking all things movies, man. That's what our niche is. We love it, so that's why we go do it.
Hell yeah. Luca, you're still stuck in the bathroom, I see.
Stuck in the bathroom. Still very private. You will find me on the Movie Trivia Challenge.
Yep.
Facing one king, Caleb Coho. Eventually.
Correct.
At some point down the line. We don't entirely know when that's going to be, but it'll be soon. Otherwise, again, I'm sorry. I'm a very private person. I love to come here and talk about horror with my buddies, but I don't have much of an online presence, and I'm a private girl. I'm just up in my
hashtag private girl. Let's get it.
I just hear about to drink wine, and I would like to be left to that in peace.
And enjoy your time with Luca while we have him here.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. And if you did enjoy this, hit that like button, subscribe to Nerd Entertainment Network, where we have Movie Trivia Challenge, the HorrorScope podcast, reaction to the Schmodown. We have combat wrestling trivia. We have a lot of things right here. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Peace out.